It's Dr. Amy Johnson with Creature Comforts Animal Hospital, and it's another gorgeous day, another gorgeous evening. So I'm out here today and I'm about to take the dogs for a hike, and as you can see, Seamus is creeping in an attempt to escape. So I've got them loaded up in the back of the pickup. I've got the dirt bike loaded up with them. And a lot of people would like to know, is it appropriate to exercise your dog, running behind a dirt bike or running behind an ATV? And my answer to that would be no, probably not, because what's going to happen is we're going to overdo it. I'll often take my dogs hiking, and I'll take them out here, kind of out onto these dirt roads, gravel roads, and I'll use a mountain bike. But even then, you have to realize, now maybe while you're going uphill, everything's fine, but as soon as you start going downhill and your dogs are having to run as hard as they can to keep up with you, if you're going a mile, 2 miles, that seems like nothing to you, but that dog running behind you. So my challenge would be, how would you respond, or how would you be able to handle running full out for a mile or 2 miles? And so it's really important that we think about that. So what are some things that could go wrong by running a dog behind a dirt bike, running a dog behind an ATV on this kind of ground? It's uneven, it's rough, and it really is difficult for these animals. So it's a lot like sandpaper. So a couple things. We could easily overheat them. We could easily strain a muscle. They could easily misstep trying to keep up with us and pull muscles or tear ligaments, things like that. It's not at all uncommon for me to see a torn ACL. So think about how much we're asking these guys to do. Here you go, you see someone coming up in a 4x4 or side-by-side or whatever they call those these days. And a lot of people want to run their dogs behind that. Now, where that's a little different is if your dog starts to get a little bit tired or worn out, you can actually put them on the back there. So we got to think about their feet. Look at this ground, and then I want you to kind of think about their feet. They've got their toes, the pads. We want them to toughen up, but a lot of times they're not going to toughen up. So. And this is a dog who's quite an athlete. But even so, I can easily overheat him, overwork him, and I've got to think about that. So this is my buddy. This is my friend, and I don't want to hurt him. These are my guys. These are my best buddies, and I don't want to hurt them. So when I think about how I want to exercise my dogs, I want to think about how I might exercise myself. So I want to build them up slowly. I want to condition them. I want to make sure it's not too extreme. It's not too hot. We have plenty of water. So when they do get hot, we can stop, we can rest them, we can give them water. Remember, dogs can only cool down through panting. So they lose heat through their tongue and through the pads of their feet, and then through laying down on cool surfaces and letting heat dissipate from their body to the ground, or for the wind blowing on them. That's how they cool down. So it can take a long time. It's not a real efficient cooling mechanism. So overheating is a real problem in areas where it's hot. And then, remember their feet. We don't want to tear their pads. Think about when you go for a long hike and you get a blister, and all of a sudden you went 8 miles up, and now you got to come 8 miles down, and you've got a blister, and it's like, oh God, and you got to suffer through that. Well, these guys suffer through it too, and they're going to do it without complaining, and we don't want that. Okay, I want you to think about them. All right, guys, come on. So, look at them. They just run there. Everything is just full out. And that's how dogs live their life, at least. The other thing I want you to think about is the breed of dog that you have. So if you don't have an athletic dog, and you don't have a dog that's got a snout, so you got a bulldog, you've got a pug, you've got a Boston Terrier, you got a Pekingese, you got something that's got a very shortened snout. Remember, they cannot cool down effectively, and they're going to overheat really, really easily. And usually those same dogs have other issues. They've got short, twisted, stumpy legs. They're a dwarf most of the time, and so their joints are often not normal, and trying to run them or do any kind of excessive adventuring with them might not be in their best interest. And oftentimes those dogs have long backs too, and they can have some instability in their back, so we can harm them. So remember, a couple of things. Exercising your dogs, you want to remember that they do need exercise. They need these kinds of outlets. They need to be able to run and play and get that emotional and physical exercise that's going to keep them healthy. And I mean that, guys, emotionally and physically. They need to be stimulated, and that's what's going to keep them physically healthy, and it's going to keep them emotionally healthy. They're not going to have nearly as many behavioral problems if you get them out and let them run and play and be off the leash. You know, just get to be dogs. And then remember that it's easy to overheat an animal. It's easy to overstrain an animal. It's easy to overexert your dogs. So think about that when you take them out for exercise, okay? You want to build them up, you want to condition them, you want them to have fun, but you want to do it safely. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope this makes you feel you have a little better grasp of how to exercise your dog, but have some things to keep in mind when you do that. So Dr. Amy Johnson with Creature Comforts Animal Hospital. I hope you guys have a great evening.